The beginning to another week. I'm doing my setup right now. For some reason, Cam's not here. He might have told me why, but whatever, he's not here. So I'm doing my setup. We just finished that. Let's get some coffee. I just bought more coffee. I was trying not to cave. I was trying to see if someone else would buy the coffee, but they just went without it. Oh, we got some new stuff here. I'm just gonna stick with what I know, Pete. I'm like days away from this baby coming. This is my last work week before I take time off. I'm gonna take November off from tattooing to get ready for the baby. So definitely excited about that. I'm trying to cherish, you know, some little things like being able to sit on my couch at home and do nothing, you know, doing stuff alone, staying up, whatever, you know, just like little shit. So Cam did his third tattoo. Today he has his fourth. So he's making progress with that. That's always cool to see, you know, apprentices starting to tattoo and make it forward in that. Through that, we're starting to go over a bunch of new lessons, right? Obviously we're talking a lot more about the artwork and like tattooing and application. It's way more fun to be able to talk about that when the apprentice or the person is actually tattooing, because you can go over it all you want in the beginning, but until they're doing it, it's hard to apply that information. The key to any successful morning. So yeah, that's been fun, going over new lessons, how to handle clients, you know, how to build portfolios, how to not have sex with your clients. Let's get into the design today. This one is so cool. Almost as cool as that cockroach piece that I did not too long ago. So the description was, you know, Chris Farley in a van down by the river. I don't know if you guys know this reference, but to me that's sick. I've never done anything like that. He wanted it in more of a character style than in like a realistic style. He had given me a picture. I'll show you guys the picture. It was landscape. It's going on the front thigh. So I wanted to make it more up and down, like a tall triangle. So I reformatted. I kept the same elements. So this is the design for today. We have a back-to-back, so today and tomorrow, which is perfect, gives me enough time to really get the design going. With something like this, to me, I'm just putting importance to each element. So him as a character, you know, Matt or Chris Farley, most important. So I want that part to stand out. Next, raccoon, right? That's in our forefront. He's toned down a little bit to not steal the show from Chris. Third, the van, hence down by the river. And then we just have some accent images, you know, the river, the grass, the chair, and like the bonfire thing going on. So my goal for today is to put the highlights, the highest contrast into Chris to really make him stand out. Next, the raccoon. Third, you know, the background, which would be the van and all the other accents that I talked about. I kind of have it going from bottom right, diagonal to top left. If you see kind of how the images are placed, that's intentional just for the leg. I feel like it kind of curves this way, right? So I want those images to curve. Like, I don't mind if the raccoon is a little bit on the inside, as long as it kind of comes out. I didn't want any important images too far in the inside, because then we lose it, right? So it'll come out along the leg, we'll have the van on the outside, everything will be in view. So composition, we talked about priorities in our subject matter, and really I'm just gonna be having tons of fun. I mean, everything from the texture on his coat, that looks really exciting to do. Get this little raccoon. I mean, the face is gonna be so fun, just the expression he has and, you know, defining that, trying to capture that in an image. Cars for me are fun to do, so like that van's gonna be sick. It's just gonna be a great piece overall. Let's get into it. Hope you guys are enjoying this video. If you like this video, you're gonna love our seminars on unseenlevel.com. Check them out, let me know what you think. Let's get back to the video. All right, so we got a good start into this piece. I know with you guys, we kind of talked about the priority of the subjects. So we have, our little guy here, who I think was second priority. In our main image, the center character, Chris. So we're gonna do that by giving its highest contrast there. We're gonna bring it all away from black. We have a lot of, visually simulating patterns and textures in here. You can see I started to work on the coat. One thing I did is we still have a dynamic range here on the raccoon, but I didn't bring it all the way to ultra black or like a deep black. It's mostly dark grays to light skin. As to, in this image, to really stretch the range, you will be seeing all the dark blacks all the way to the highlights, which we'll see white. It'll help kind of keep the focus there. I might even end up brushing some mag over this. I'm gonna finish our main character and then make sure they're distinguishable. If I feel like I'm drawing too much attention to the raccoon, I'll just tone him down a little bit. So I'm almost gonna intentionally mud that out just a touch, make him more similar to just one tone than like varying. You see the repeating pattern in our background of the water here. I kept it pretty simple. Again, I don't want to draw too much attention, but I still want enough in there that it looks cool, it doesn't look forgotten about. So I'm getting this in on the side to start framing out our main subjects. Later, I'm gonna bring a mag on top of this to drown it out a little bit. But that's just kind of the way my brain works, is I put the details in first, and then if I feel like they need to be set back, you'll see me just kind of hit it with a mag. So right now, I'm focused on Chris Farley here, on our main guy. I got the pattern in first on the jacket, and now I'm kind of laying some shadows on top. And I'm making everything about him, really clean, really crisp, nice and sharp. And this will also help with drawing attention to him presenting as our top priority in the piece, our main subject. And I gotta tell you, I'm just having so much fun on this piece. Everything about it's fun. The raccoon was fun. We got the little weenies kind of sticking out here, sausage, whatever he's holding. The water's not too challenging. We left it pretty, clean and simple. We got the different layers of cloth in there and his pants. So the pants and the tie are gonna be the darkest. So I implemented those folds in there, and now I'm brushing in the tone, make them nice and dark. We're gonna leave the undershirt the lightest. His snazzy jacket will kind of vary in the different tones. Yeah, really fun. The pattern was pretty fun. The way that I'm doing this pattern, it's kind of like how I've explained a bunch of different pieces and approach, but I'll find the darkest point, which, these squares in here. So I'll lay in the square. I'll show you on this part of his jacket here. We'll lay all the dark squares in first. I'm using black, but it's 3RL, so it's gonna present as a light gray. And I'm gonna do our next darkest, which is the vertical lines. And I'm just gonna run right over those squares that I created, making sure I'm not wiping his face away. And go right over the squares to keep them darkest. We're gonna hit that twice. And the next would be our horizontal. And that's really all there is to it for that pattern. Now we're not done with the area, then you would come back and implement the shades and tones of the jacket itself, right? So this curls out. So we're gonna pick and flick from the inside of the jacket, and now we're just going on top of the pattern. The pattern is already in there. So give a nice hard edge, but it'll be like a folding edge. So it'll fade out as it curls into the light. And then we would get a nice, kind of a smaller fade on the outside here. A little more gentle, but still producing that curling, that rounding effect. And then just to bump it up a little bit, we'll kind of do some finishing touches on it. You know, sometimes I'll come through, I'll notice certain parts of the pattern could use a little bit of darkening. You know, these parts of the pattern are coming down and kind of curling away towards the light, so I'll put a little fade in there. And we start to get that, we have our pattern locked in, and that's really it. I'm not going to work on it too much more because I don't want to rub away the face. I'm just going to get this tie in and then move my way to the face, but yeah, that's the pattern. Easy, fun, and it looks great. The tie is cool because it's dark. We have a lot of light going on here in the undershirt. So it'll be fun to put a bold tie in there. So I'm just putting the final touches on the face here. With the face, the hand, anything in this character here, our main subject, I'm really trying to bump the contrast. So I like to revisit it with my darkest dark, which in this case is the ultra black, and just really drive in those dark tones. It's definitely important to make sure the skin tone and the highlights are in there as well, you know? So we have a nice one here in the eyes, some in the forehead, and as I brush in some of these darker tones, it's going to make those lighter tones appear even lighter. And it tends to make the face look more full, you know, full of life, right? I feel like in the beginning, a lot of the faces that I was doing, I didn't bring in those midtones, I didn't fill up all the skin, I didn't put in the high contrast, and it ended up kind of looking a little lifeless. The hair is definitely gonna have these dark darks. But you know, we can be paying attention to so many different things as we're building a face or a hand or anything with this much detail. It's easy to forget things. It's easy to forget things, so to just revisit the most important things, you know, hitting the dark darks, the highlights, it's never a bad move. I used to struggle a little bit with making the face feel full, and kind of my go-to with that is honestly with a mag, where I'll just use a wash, like a 50% or even just a diluted solution, and I'm just gently going over anything that's not highlight. You have to be super light with this, but it gets rid of the unnecessary skin tone, and it helps you just kind of use your skin tone for where it's needed, and that is in the highlights. Just makes the face look a little bit more dynamic, which I really like. Also, sometimes I use the mag just to get some of these deep blacks in here. Mag's really just put in the black, right? Great for packing, so maybe I want to add a little detail in the hair. And with that, we have a finalized face. You can see it's high value, it's high contrast. You know, we add some white in there. I mean, it's going to be the star of the show. Cool, we are done for today's session. This is a back-to-back, so we'll be working on it tomorrow as well. Very happy with the progress. We got our raccoon done. We got Chris done in the center. To me, those are very important to get done today. These background images, I don't mind as much with like missing stencil and all that. We'll see how the stencil holds up for tomorrow, but even if I have to re-stencil, it's something very easy to re-stencil. So what we got so far, I did end up toning down the raccoon here in the front, got rid of some of the skin tone, you know, so it doesn't draw too much attention. Then we have the high contrast in here. We added a little bit of white in the face. We got our main subject popping out. Tomorrow we're going to be working on, obviously, the top here that's not done. These will be done. This will be done in a lot of grays. There really won't be much skin tone in the background to produce kind of a flattened look to bring him out even more. So it's going to complement what we've done today. With that being said, we'll wrap it up and we'll finish tomorrow. Today's day 2 on this Chris Farley SNL piece. Yesterday, we crushed it. We did so well. We got more than 50% of this tattoo done. Whenever I do that in the back-to-back, the second day is so much easier. I don't want to get lazy and like work too slow, but we got the bulk of it done yesterday. So today I'm going to be focusing on that background. Remember, the key to the background is to kind of dial down the contrast a little bit. So I'm going to leave it a lot in the mid-tone gray sections. We're still going to have enough to define the image, you know, the band, the little barrels on fire. But what I'm thinking is we're going to have some extra time left over in the tattoo. So like one thing I wanted to do was kind of extend the outside of the tattoo to better fit the leg. Like I think I could drop it down a little bit, make it a little bit more form-fitting. It's kind of a rectangle, you know, so I might add some waves kind of coming into the knee, just have it better fit the design. I didn't want to bring that up in the beginning because I didn't know if we'd have time to do that, but it looks like we will. So let's get this thing unwrapped. Let's check it out. We might have to re-stencil, no issue, and get into the tattoo, and obviously drink coffee. So I ended up re-stenciling the top just because it seemed like a pretty easy re-stencil, and that way I could just get a nice clean image. So we're working on the background here. I'm using 10 gauge 3RL. The reason I'm using that is, one, I like the needle, but two, it will help kind of keep it in the gray range that I want this background to be. So I'm not really going to be taking anything too light, too dark. We're going to stay mostly in kind of these like gray tones here. You might see me do some dark up top. This is just to keep everything in that kind of middle gray, and then I'll come back because I do want to set this in the background. You know, I'm probably just going to get everything outlined here and then brush over with a mag and try to push it back a little bit. So I'm just carving out these like basic shapes. You know, we have the fire and smoke. We have the different layers of grass. And I'm just gonna approach this pretty simple. So like even with the grass, you know, I'll create my back layer here. And then as we move towards the front, we'll have it be lighter. So I'm gonna work from the back of the grass to the front. So I'll just get this shaded in here. And then we're just gonna pick it apart by layers and then just continue to shade over what we've already done. So I'll start this new layer here and then just pull it right over the existing layer. I'm really just gonna repeat that pattern through the grass. Actually getting not great ink flow on this needle. Wash it out a little bit. And then I'm just gonna pull it up the existing layer so that everything gets darker together. I feel like yesterday we got some of the more high pressure stuff done. You know, the face, the jacket. A lot of times the biggest challenges in the tattoo are the most rewarding. You know, whether it's like a small portrait or the pattern on the jacket or the hands, right? But they can also be the highest stress because it's like, yo, I need to get this perfect, right? Sometimes with background images, you can be like a little more loose or a little more stress-free. They tend to be like simpler concepts. You know, not that we don't want to give them just as much attention, but I'm definitely less stressed doing the grass than I was doing the face. We are done. I could not be happier with this piece. I was just saying before, I've never done this character before. It's so fun to do subject matter, you know, you haven't done before. It's a new approach, you know, it leaves you guessing on some stuff. It's very easy to like stay interested in the piece the whole time. You know, there's tons of things out there that you find yourself doing a million times. You kind of know how it starts and how it ends. So it's fun to change it up. So let's take a look. We'll break this down real quick. I ended up extending the bottom just to better fit the leg. You guys will see that in the pictures. We kind of had this, you know, down slant towards the knee, and then we reversed it, an up slant away from the knee. Just give it a little bit of flow, you know, so it wasn't a hard cutoff. We have our raccoon rock weenie holder in the front here. We have our main subject here, high value, high contrast. We have this cool pattern that I was showing you guys how I was doing. Super fun pattern. And then we have this kind of muted, down-toned background. Still awesome though with the van, the chair. We got the two fires going, and then just faded it out at the top. Really, really happy with the turnout on this. So I'm just gonna let this bleed out, and then we'll get some pictures and wrap it up.